Reid. All right, speed now. 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4.
Hi, I'm Janice Edwards. In the midst of far too many news stories of young boys and girls lost to street violence, there are triumphant testimonies of hundreds of Bay Area youth who have been saved and are leading productive lives thanks to the work of the Omega Boys Club. Today, Dr. Joe Marshall and 2 students from the club join us with their stories of how the club has made a life-saving difference and why the need is greater than ever. Empowering our communities, that's up next on Bay Area Vista. Join us.
Conklin Brothers of San Mateo has provided in-studio flooring for Bay Area Vista. Conklin Brothers' motto is, "You can count on us."
Welcome to Bay Area Vista. I'm Janice Edwards. In 1987, a middle school teacher named Joe Marshall and a counselor named Jack Jacqua, working in San Francisco's Potrero Hill, were frustrated and heartbroken as they saw bright students giving up on dreams of academic achievement and choosing lives of drug dealing and prostitution. They founded the Omega Boys Club to offer students support in moving toward brighter futures. And to date, hundreds of students have made better life choices and 150 have graduated from college. Here's more about how the program works.
Welcome back, Street Soldiers.
I got some fine tuning, but you know.
Revolutionary Radio, keeping you alive and free. It is a community radio show.
Dr. Joseph Marshall Jr. is a founder of the anti-violence movement called Alive and Free. Followers from across the country tune into his weekly radio program, Street Soldiers, a name Dr. Marshall uses to describe people working to eliminate violence in their communities.
We asked you, Street Soldiers, what was the greatest issue facing the community? Let's go to line 2 and talk to Brandon. Brandon, how you're on Street Soldiers?
Most of all, I think it boils down to the family.
Yeah.
And not having those positive role models for those, for those kids.
I really am just somebody that wants young people to stay alive and free. And it's really pretty simple. I want them to have the life that they should have, and I want the community to be safe. You gotta fight back. You gotta fight back.
To help keep his own community safer, Dr. Marshall co-founded the Omega Boys Club.
You're either part of the problem or part of the solution. I'm trying to get that young person to be a part of the solution to contribute to a world without violence. One of the rules we teach them is sort of an advocate word, and that is, if you want things to change, change begins with you. Our motto here is staying what? Alive and free.
Dr. Marshall started the club after years of working as a middle school teacher and witnessing too many of his students get off track. He wanted to reach young people in ways that he couldn't as a teacher.
We got a room full of folks and a bunch of new people, and the whole thing tonight is getting to know you. Zinga, come here, you first.
Oh gosh, the first time I came to Omega, back
The
then,
phrase I use is they were getting A's in math but F's in life. I mean, everything from me going to funerals of former students killed in some sort of drug or gang-related violence to girls getting pregnant at the age of 16. Being a good teacher wasn't enough. I wanted things to change, and so that change begins with me. I could meet you stopping you on the block trying to do something. I don't care really how it is. The most important thing is how things turn out. I'm gonna push you a little bit. Tell me some of the things that you feel you need to work on.
my anger and my pain.
Maybe self-confidence. When I first came to Omega, I was smoking weed. I didn't feel good about doing that.
My home life was just in shambles. Didn't have an ally.
And all these young people, they're great human beings, they have voices, and they have the potential to do a lot of good or a lot of harm. And my job is to help them be an instrument of good.
Dr. Marshall, he woke me up from my slumber to my culture.
So today, I have my anger and I have my pain under control. I'm able to process it out. I'm able to deal with it accordingly.
I'm going to school right now. I'm majoring in business. I'm learning right now to become a man.
Dr. Marshall's club teaches young people 3 main rules to live by.
There's nothing more valuable than the individual's life. And we tell them that a friend is someone that will never lead you to danger.
I want you to tell me one thing that you got put in a position to do something where you didn't want to do it. And you didn't have a choice.
Respect comes from within. No one can disrespect you if you respect yourself.
To the new people, I've heard it said here like time and time again, like this is like the right step into the future.
This new way of thinking, along with academic support, has helped hundreds of young people change the direction of their lives and set goals for themselves they had never imagined before. For those who want to go to college, Dr. Marshall pledges the financial support to make it possible.
The college piece is something I committed to them, that if they could beat the streets, they could pick the college and I'd find the money.
I never heard anyone tell me that they wanted to send me to college. I never even believed that it was an attainable goal, and Dr. Marshall really helped plant that seed. Honestly, I thought he was crazy, but he actually ended up doing what he said and sent me to college.
Dr. Joe Marshall Jr. is a radio talk show host, the founder of the Alive and Free movement, a member of the San Francisco Police Commission, and the recipient of numerous awards, including a MacArthur Foundation Genius Award, Children's Leadership Defense Fund Award, and the Use Your Life Award from the Oprah Winfrey's Angel Network. He's also the co-author of the book, Street Soldier. He joins us today with two Omega Boys Club members, Rashad Demings and Tanaya Reid, who represent the group and are sharing some of the most important stories about the club and why it is so important. So these are your proudest achievements right here beside you, some of them, right?
These two are doing pretty good. Yeah.
Pretty good. Well, welcome back to Bay Area Vista, Joe. Nice to have you. It's been a few years since we sat down and talked to you.
Yes. Thank you.
Yeah, good to have you. Thank you both for being here.
Thank you for having us.
Oh, absolutely. And I know before we start, we have some updated information. I said 150, but it's actually 163.
163 college graduates to date. Yeah.
Wow.
I want to give those last 13 their credit. They'll be screaming at them, you left me out. So,
well,
it's been great. Yeah.
Congratulations.
Yeah.
You know, I was thinking about, I mentioned 1987. I met you in 1989, dating us both in that way when the club was just starting. And since then, you've had all of these successes, and yet at the same time, the challenges remain. So I wanted to go back a little bit and talk about when students come in, and we'll hear from both of you, Tanaya and Rashad. What is it that you do? They come in not knowing what to expect, and what is it like when they cross that threshold?
Well, I mean, they can really answer from their personal experience. I think when young people come to Omega, it's so different than what they experience, you know, outside of it, in their homes, in their neighborhoods. There's a lot of peer pressure, a lot of violence. Frankly, they don't trust a lot of people. They don't believe in a lot of other folks. Sometimes they don't believe in themselves, and they come into an environment that's so different. I call Omega the oasis in the desert. And they come in there and they see this, and they're not used to drinking good water. So you can see the doubts on their faces, and why am I here? And especially if their mother drags them in, they really don't want to come. Right. But you know, they get into an environment that's really different, and you know, the young people are all pulling for each other and all of them want each other to stay alive and free, and you know, they get used to it and they start to like it. And when they start to like it, then they never want to leave.
Then you're like family.
That's exactly what it is. So we have one of the sayings we have is, we're not all related, but we're all family. And you know, for them, we become the family. Sometimes the only family that they have, and they seem to really like that a lot. As you can imagine, one would like having a family like that, with a lot of brothers and sisters.
Yes, exactly. And of course, it's called the Omega Boys Club because originally it was just for boys, but as Tanaya is evident of the fact that girls are welcome there. So Tanaya, I'm going to start with you. You are now at San Francisco State University, a student there. When did you first come to Omega? What brought you in, and what made you stay?
Well, the first time I came to Omega was October of last year, and like you said, how you thought it was a boys club. I thought it was a boys club. Somebody was like, "Oh, Omega's a boys club," and I was like,
"She came for the boys."
Sounded like a good deal, right?
No. I'm like, "You're getting in trouble, Doc." Okay, so I was told about it through a relative that I actually never met. And I was telling her I was going to San Francisco State, you know, but I was worried about, you know, the finances and everything. And she was saying, oh, well, you know, her granddaughter had just just went to this program, and you know, she was going to update me with the information and contact me and tell me about it. And I was expecting to never hear from the lady again. Like, I was like, okay, you know, it's just crazy cousin talking or something. But she actually did, and you know, she let me know when it was and everything. And I went up there, and the first thing Mrs. Stell said was Mrs. Stell said, "This is not a scholarship program." And I was like, well, then what is it, and why am I here? But once they just got started, it kind of got me hooked at that point.
So what was it that got you hooked then?
Just how they talk about things that you never hear anywhere else. Like he was saying, like it's like drinking, you know, what did you say, from Oasis?
Drinking good water.
The Oasis in the desert, yeah.
Yeah, it's just like you never hear stuff. You never hear the things that you hear at Omega. You never hear that in real life. Even though it is real life, nobody talks about it.
About how to approach real life, how to make decisions.
Exactly.
That will get you
decisions.
farther.
Yeah, it's just how to keep you alive and free. That's what they're trying to do, and it's worked so far. We're all alive and free so far. Well, most of us.
Rashad, how about you? And you were a student at Laney College.
I'm a student at Laney College, yes. What brought me to Omega was a yearn for more. I felt like I was missing something in my life, and I met with a lady at Job Corps, Treasure Island Job Corps. Her name is Siobhan Hunter, and Darian Eastman was another gentleman I met with. And I just told him I wanted more. I feel like I'm missing something. And he told me to come to Omega, and I was like, I don't know what that is. I don't really want to go. And, he said, just come. And a lot of my friends at the time were going, but I just was too nervous to go. One day I just went. I didn't know what to expect. I came in doubting, and then I walked in, and it was like they were greeting me. And I've never been in a room with that many African-American males and females, and just a melting pot of just youth, and no one had any problem with nobody. So it was just, that attracted me. So it was a safe place, first off, and that's what made me want to just be there, like, on a continuous basis. And they would just teach me things about my history that I didn't know, and that they don't teach you in school a lot. So it was, I liked it a lot. My first time going, I never stopped going after my first time.
That dedication is one of the things that comes through. And you mentioned Job Corps, and one of the things I'd like to do, because we do have the whole show devoted to talking about the program, changing lives, and the work that you're doing, Joe, is what led you to Job Corps? Because I'm thinking that choices and things that were going on in school probably led to that. And how has Omega really put you on a different path?
Well, I originally started attending Job Corps because I was laid off from the city of Vallejo. I did Parks and Recs. I did irrigation for 2 years, and I was about to be homeless. So I said, well, I need somewhere to stay, and I need a trade. Maybe if I get a trade, they'll have to hire me back and give me benefits. So I went to I tried WildTech, and they were too much. So I tried Job Corps, and they accepted me. So I went, and I was on the path of just trying to get certified in all these different areas. So if I go look for a job in the field that I want, I have options. And then I just started thinking, this is not it for me, and maybe I should go pursue education, because with education, anything is possible. And certain things fell into certain places, and I met the right people at the right time. Yeah. And
it's continued to build from there. That's what it's all about in terms of education, some of the things that you teach. And Joe, you wanted to add something to what Rashad was saying.
The whole beauty of this, so that the two people that Rashad mentioned at Job Corps that led him to Omega, and I gotta say their names, Siobhan Hunter and Darian Eastman, were two of our alumni who came through years before they did, went away to college. Siobhan graduated from Delaware State University. Darian graduated from Tennessee State University, came back home, became productive adults, ended up working at the Job Corps.
Wow.
And then when they got there, they said, well, no, you need to be at Job Corps and at Omega. And, so it's you never know how that's going to turn out. I mean, I would have never known that, Siobhan and Darren were going to end up there, and then, led Rashad and a number of others from Job Corps to the Omega Boys Club. So that's I mean, every time I see Darren, I say, man, I sure didn't know you were going to turn out to do this. So yeah, it's been great. And yeah, education is something. When I started the organization, I wanted to do something for young people that came. I could have picked jobs, but that's not something I can guarantee.
Right.
Especially these days of double-digit employment. Suppose I said I was going to get everybody a job. So
exactly.
I want to be able to keep your commitment, but education is something I knew I could make happen. And so I told them, they picked a school, I'd find the money. Now, finding the money was a whole nother subject, but we've been blessed for almost 25 years now to the money keeps coming, and you can see that they're in school and everything's working out.
And everything's growing. But besides education, it's that sense of family. Because for a lot of, and you're on Street Soldiers and you're hearing from people who are making choices. Some come to the club, some don't. But in every arena, you're always saying, it's time and there's an opportunity to make a different choice. Because as I said in the beginning, and you were heartbroken when you heard about students, and some students were lost. So when they come in not trusting, not knowing what to expect, as you two have mentioned, what is it that you do to really, I mean, because you grab hold of them from their hearts and soul to make sure that they know
and it's
new
interesting
things are
because everybody
possible.
has a backstory.
Right.
And I know their backstories, and I don't know how much they want to share with the audience here.
Well, as much as you feel comfortable with, I think would really help
because some of these
others.
stories, and everybody has a backstory, and I just know that there's a way out of any situation that they've come into. Has happened to them, and we just try to provide that opportunity for them. But they gotta buy into it. And what I've always been happy about is, for some reason, maybe it's because they see something in us that they don't see in others. They buy into what we're trying to do, and we're not easy. That's the other thing, folks. Some folks have that impression that we're not a kumbaya feel. We're pretty rigorous, because our job is to keep them alive and free.
Now let's talk about that a little bit. So Tanaya, you explain a little bit. They talk about things that other people don't talk about. You said, what is it they talked about that isn't easy, that Joe's alluding to, that hit you when you came in?
I think that adults, they're trying to, when they talk to the younger generation, they're more just like, don't do this, don't do that. They don't explain why. They don't say, they're just telling you what to do. And us being young, we don't want to hear that. So it's just like, it's just like, okay, But when you go to Omega, it's like you can tell that they really care about what they're telling you, and you can tell that they've been through it and that they're not telling you anything bad. And it's like they talk to you about things that adults don't like to talk about with the younger generation. Like, they'll talk about sex, they'll talk about violence, they'll talk about drugs, partying, just, all the things that people get caught up in that it goes overlooked for some reason. Even though it happens so much, it goes overlooked.
It's like choosing peers that don't lead you off a path.
Exactly. Teach you and it's hard when you're given, like Dr. Marshall says, when you give this person the prescription and then they go into a world with a whole bunch of sick people still who are still infected by the disease of violence. It's hard to put somebody in that situation. So they teach us how to deal with these, how to deal with these people, how to find the right friends, how to stay away from the wrong crowd, and it's just, they teach you so much that other people just won't.
And we're non-negotiable about it.
And they're non-negotiable about it, exactly. It's like they're not easy on you at all. You will get called on, you will get blasted, you know what I'm saying? Like, you can't just sit there and just think, oh, I'm about to talk the whole time, because no, when you do this is a sign right here, call on that person.
Okay,
that's
right, when you're shutting down, so you make sure.
Exactly.
Well, I mean, talking about difficult topics that do make life-altering differences, sex is one of them, safe sex being important. So what do you tell them? Or Rashad, maybe you want to join in. What did you hear about sex at the Omega Boys Club that's made a difference in terms of choices?
If you can, wait. But if you have to, strap it up. They talk about things that your parents, or maybe you can't hear it coming from your parents, and you can relate to other people, because it's a group discussion. It's just not one person, one adult talking to the children or the students. It's like the students are giving feedback off each other, and as well as the Dr. Marshall and Mrs. Steele. So it's a number of things.
So it's empowering in that way, because if you're hearing strap it up, meaning use a condom, if you're going to be involved and you're looking at a room full of people, your peers, who are also saying, okay, we're in this together. We all want to make sure that we're practicing safe sex.
I think the biggest thing we do is they spend so much time with things outside of them, the clothes they wear, the friends they have, They spend very little time finding out who they are. And they get a lot of bad information that sounds like good information. We say this a lot. A lot of bad example looks like good example. A lot of bad instruction that sounds like good instruction. A lot of bad advice that sounds like good advice. And we have to decode all that stuff for them, because all the stuff coming from their peers that looks a certain way, or the music they hear and all the images they see and all the crazy reality TV shows that they watch that are feeding them all of this stuff, it all looks good. And, you know, they really need someone, a place like that, to decode all of that and show them what it really is. But see, I give them a lot of credit because, you know, they have to buy into what we're saying. They got to like what we're saying, and then they got to support each other. And I think the biggest thing about Omega is the
support.
It's amazing to see all these young people. I mean, if you can think of a gang, and I don't want to call it a good gang, but you know, that might be a way to put it, because they're all supporting each other and helping each other stay alive and free. I think that's what throws people off when they first come, is they're not used to that kind of group support from their peers.
Right.
It's an amazing thing.
No, it is an incredible. And when you talk about Alive and Free, that is part of a national movement. So in the midst of a lot of people coming to Omega and making these choices, you're still dealing with outside people who are making the choices to be in gangs and sometimes losing people back to that. What are you, and I know you're also on the police commission, so you've identified this violence as a national disease that needs acute treatment. What specific steps are you continuing to do at different levels to help save more young people?
Sure. It turns out that what we do at the Omega Boys Club, which is headquartered in the city, it is headquarters for this movement. And as I, you know, figured out the prescription, and I really call it a prescription because I look at it from a health perspective, the job began to, you know, to spread it. How do I get this prescription to other people? I mean, there are young people in Miami, there are young people in Baltimore, there are young people in Los Angeles, there are young people in Seattle. So my job began to find people just like me that I could, you know, I could teach this to. And that became, you know, my national group, my national consortium. And, you know, there's names like Luther Lish in Seattle, and, you know, Nzingo Neferu in Baltimore, Maryland, and John McCall in Pasadena, California, that I have taught this Alive and Free prescription to, and they have similar organizations down in where they live, doing exactly the same thing. I mean, I'll tell you, it's really something to get on a plane, go to a place like Seattle, Washington, walk in, talk to young people, and they'll tell me, ask them what a friend is, and they'll tell me a friend is someone who will never lead you to danger. Well, that's, you know, I've never seen these young people, but they know exactly what Tanaya knows. They know exactly what, you know, Rashad knows. So we've had 3 national conferences. The first one was in Birmingham, Alabama, where else to kick off a national movement. The second one was in Baltimore, Maryland. The third one was in Seattle, Washington. We have them every 2 years. And the next one will be in Sacramento, California in 2012, where my brother is actually, my own blood brother, is actually the member of the consortium. So, and I've been fortunate to be able to take this, you know, to distant places. I just got back from Haiti a couple of weeks ago, talking to young people down there about how to stay alive and free. So, you know. And
you see the same challenges everywhere.
Exact same challenges. But I'll tell you what was great. That video that we saw when we opened it, I took that with me. So I'm down there talking to the young people in Haiti about staying alive and free, and they're looking at me, show me some proof. So then I show them the video, and I show them the young people, and it's just amazing. I mean, young people everywhere connect. That's one thing about them. So I always say, without them, none of this could happen. Without the Tanayas and the Rashads and all the other young people, there'd be no way that this movement would continue to grow.
Exactly, and it's growing so well. So Tanaya and Rashad, because it's hard to believe we're almost out of time with everything that we've covered. Someone's watching today, and maybe it's not a friend, maybe it's a family member who's made bad choices, and that's leading them to a struggle. What would you say to help someone who's thinking, I don't think I can ever get out of this situation I'm in?
I'll take it.
Go ahead.
Okay. I would just say that there are so many resources out there. There are so many resources out there for everybody, and you never know unless you go out there and look. You never know unless you go out there and you ask around. You know, you need to. I've learned this actually at Omega too, because I was the kind of person where I keep everything inside of me, and I don't like to talk to people. I don't like to ask for help. I don't like to depend on other people. I'm trying to be way too independent. And I learned, Mrs. Stell taught me that it's okay to ask for help, and it's okay to be vulnerable. And I would just tell that person that go get some help somewhere. There's always help out there for you, and then it'll never hurt you. It can only help you.
It'll only help you. Okay, Rashad?
I would tell them to come to Omega. Honestly.
Joe was saying, I was hoping you'd say that, right?
I would honestly tell them to come to Omega because they don't have any ulterior motives. They want to see you succeed and they want to see you be happy. In the street life, there's always someone trying to either come up on you or get money out of you or something like that. But at Omega, they don't have any ulterior motives but to see you succeed and be happy. You know, I can tell you that Omega's this, Omega's that.
But you've said it so well. Just come to Omega.
Just come.
And what I want to do right now is put the information on the screen. So if you'd like to come to Omega to contact the Omega Boys Club, the details are right there. So you can reach out and get the help that you are looking for. It's all here. The support is there. And I want to thank you all for being here. Joe, thank you for the vision that you and Jack had. Thank you for continuing to be the street soldier that you are.
Well, next year will be 25 years, so it's going to be a big celebration all year.
Absolutely, absolutely. And celebrating now because you are alive and free and here. So thank you so much.
Thank you.
And thank you for all that you do to make our Bay Area the great place that it is. Thanks for joining us. I'm Janice Edwards, and we hope to see you next time. Please join us then.
Area Vista,
Conklin Brothers of San Mateo has provided in-studio flooring for Bay Area Vista. Conklin Brothers' motto is, "You can count on us."